Hello, hello. So I'm going to get started because it is, well, it says 8:34, so sorry I'm late. Okay, so tonight's call is about how I structure my day. I know that it can be really hard when you're working full-time or you're a mum or anything, you know, you've got a lot going on, that it's really hard to know how you're going to fit all of this in, basically. But I'm here to tell you that you can, that it's not impossible, that there are, I guarantee it, coaches out there who are busier than we are, people who have like 8 kids and a full-time job and they're single parent and, you know, they're doing all the things and they're still absolutely smashing this business. So I'm going to talk you through sort of the different seasons of my coaching life, and the sort of the way that I managed it at the time. I wasn't always fully into my business since signing up as a coach. Sometimes I stepped back, sometimes I went all in, you know, and I do not recommend that you do that. If you're serious about this business, go all in now. Like, the sooner you go all in, the sooner your life's going to change. But I'll talk you through sort of my reasons why. You probably know my reasons why, baby. But yes, so I'm going to start way back when, pre-Georgia, when I'd gone back to work and I had Lucy and she was a toddler. So, you know, my life was pretty busy. I was working 4 days a week in London. So I had like over an hour commute there and back again. And, you know, yes, I could do some work at work in my lunch hour, but I couldn't, you know, I couldn't be really cheeky and go and do things like on the computer during the day. Like, that wasn't really an option for me. So I'll talk you through that and then how it's progressed since then to where I am now. So, okay, so going back to when I was working 4 days a week in London and I had Lucy as a toddler, I would wake up at 5:30 a.m. to get my workout done, because that's one of your vitals, get your workout in. So I would get up at 5:30, do my workout while Lucy was still asleep, and then I would edit it and post it on Instagram. And then Lucy would wake up, I'd get her dressed, get myself dressed and washed and whatever, fed and out the house by 8. And then I'd drop Lucy at my mum's on the way to work. And then on the train into work, I would read personal development. If you drive to work, then you can listen to it in the car. Like, that is the perfect opportunity to get your PD in for the day. So I would read it on the train on the way to work, and then I would read it again on the way home. So I was actually getting like a good probably 2 hours of PD in a day, which is amazing and will work wonders for your mental health and your business. So that's when I would do my PD. Then at lunchtime at work, like I would, you know, work normal hours, get into work between 9 and 9:30, and then I wouldn't be able to do any coaching or anything like that, obviously, until lunchtime, when I would spend that hour that I had eating my lunch at my desk. If people went out for food, I wouldn't go. If people were sitting around in like the communal area, I wouldn't sit with them. Like, I made that choice early on that I was going to spend that hour. That was a really pivotal hour in my business for me to get things done. So what I would do is, that would be probably the first time in the day that I would get the chance to go into the Fit Girl Academy and comment on people's posts. But the group was a lot smaller then, so it didn't take quite as much time. And then I would also grow my following on Instagram in that hour. And whilst I was doing that, so I would go onto Instagram and do the 3-2-1 method. If you don't know that, you can go look at previous calls, but it's like 3, comment on 2, and then give them a follow. And that's how you grow your Instagram following. I would do that. And whilst I was doing that, I would listen to trainings. I would listen to team calls, Ashley's team calls, or I would listen to the National Wake Up Call. So I would always have that going on during that lunch hour. And then I would also, in that time, send out 10 invites, or I would start 10 new conversations, or I would do 10 follow-ups, or a combination of those things. So that would be that hour, and then that was done, and then I get back to work, and then PD on the way home. I would get home by about 7 o'clock, and then it would be spend time with Lucy and then put her to bed. And then from 8:30 till 9:30, that's when I did another power hour. So that would be more of an intentional power hour, in terms of I would do what the business activity tracker would tell you to do. So these sort of power hour activities, we didn't have this back then. This is fairly new. So we only had the 4 vitals to go by, but it was basically my power hour would be doing these things. So I would do my post on Instagram, always post once a day. At that point, I was actually posting twice a day because I couldn't do as much in my stories because I was at work all day. So I would do as much as I could in my stories. Like I would post my workout and things like that, and do probably some energize at my desk or something to getting me through the work day. And I would post my Shakeology and things like that, but I wouldn't be able to post just like sitting at my desk at work. So I would post twice a day on my feed instead. So I would do that. I would then go back into the Fit Girl Academy and comment on whatever had happened throughout the rest of the day. And I would reply to the messages of people replying to me from earlier in the day, from those messages that I'd sent out. So I would do all of that in that hour and get that done between 8:30 and 9:30. And then because I love to sleep, I would be in bed by 10. So that was really, really early days. Back before I had Georgia and when I was working in London. And then obviously when I had Georgia, I was on maternity leave. But I did, at that point, like, kid did not sleep. Like, that baby did not sleep for the first 4 months, definitely. She didn't go into her own room until she was over 6 months old. And she didn't really sleep until then. So I was tired, like dog tired all the time. And like I'm struggling with my C-section and all this kind of crap. So I really took a step back from my coaching business at that point. So when she was born, I did the absolute bare minimal coaching tasks, like in my mind, what the absolute bare minimum was that would keep my business still ticking over, enough for me to, earn a few pounds here and a little bit here. And my goal at the beginning of this year, knowing that, at that point I was 8 months pregnant. So again, I was tired and drained, and I set myself one goal, and that was to earn money every week, at least, to earn something. And it didn't even matter if that was £3, as long as I'd earned money that week, that was the goal I was trying to hit. Because you get paid weekly in Beachbody World, so on Thursdays. So it was my goal that every Thursday I would go to my coach back office and I'd earn something. It didn't matter how small, and that was my goal. And I think the only week that I didn't hit that was the week that she was born. And I was okay with that, and now my goals are much higher, because now my business is ticking over like so much that I automatically just earn money every week, even if I don't necessarily sign up someone new. So it's funny how you sort of set these benchmarks, and then 6 months later you're sort of like, wow, my goals are so much higher now. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, so that was my goal at the beginning of the year. So I did the bare minimal coaching tasks in order to reach that goal, basically. So what were they? Those were that I was still running the Fit Girl Academy. I never, ever missed a day checking in on those girls. So even on the day that Georgia was born, she was like in the little hospital bed next to me, and I was just on my phone checking in on all the girls, because I love it so much. So that was an easy task for me. And in the early newborn days, when we were at home and I was sort of like laid up on the sofa recovering, I would do things like I would do polls, or I would do a call to action post. So call to action being that I would talk about Fit Girl Academy in a post and say, if you want to join, drop an emoji. That's what a call to action is. And then, based on those polls or the call to actions, or just people generally messaging me, I would reply to those messages. So I wasn't deliberately going out and finding people to message. I was just basically letting them come to me by either click on a poll, commenting on a post, or sending me a message for whatever reason. So again, like bare minimal coaching tasks. But if someone messaged me, I would message them back. I wasn't doing any follow-ups. I wasn't doing anything like that. And then the other thing I did was I would try and read some personal development, especially because I was really struggling in those early days. Like my C-section would not heal. Like I was really down a lot of the time. The no sleep thing really got to me. Like I was like hanging on by a thread at some points. And so I was desperate to get this PD in, but it became so difficult to do with 2 kids, to just sit down and have time to read. And, whenever Georgia went to bed, I was literally like flat out, I'm going to bed now, so I didn't get a chance to read in the evenings or anything like that. So that's when I decided to switch to Audible. So if you're struggling to get your PD in because you don't have a chance to read, I highly recommend Audible. And honestly, at that point, I couldn't really afford it. But I decided that not having PD in my life, I could tell that was taking a toll on me. It's so important. And I was actually doing and reading PD before I even knew what coaching was, before that was even like something that I knew about. So when I heard about coaching and they said personal development was part of the job, I was like, this is my dream job, because I already do that. Like, that's such a big part of my life already. So so to not be able to do it was like, it just wasn't an option. So I figured, I'm going to spend £8 a month on Audible. Yes, I'm on maternity pay. Yes, I'm not planning on going back. No, I'm not earning a ton in my coaching business right now, but I will cut back on other things. So that's what I did, like, because as far as I'm concerned, anything that's for my coaching business or for my mental health or for my physical health is worth the money. Like, I don't care how much it costs. I will find a way to pay for that. And I found a way to pay for that now because of my coaching business. So, I don't pay for my Shakeology anymore because I earn enough money through coaching to pay for that. I don't pay for my Energize. I don't pay, as far as I can see, I've covered all of those costs. So the same with personal development. I was like, I will find a way. I will find this £8 a month from somewhere. So I did that, and it's been a game changer. I actually prefer listening to personal development now than I do reading it. Anyway, again, I'm going off on a tangent. So that's what I was doing back then, when Georgia was very small, really up until she was about 6 months old. She's only 8 months now, so that wasn't that long ago that everything was just all a little bit chaotic. But then I really got completely focused. I was like, okay, I can't really be using my baby as an excuse anymore. She's 6 months old. She sleeps in her own room. No, she doesn't sleep brilliantly. She's never ever slept through the night. But we've got more of a routine, which means I can now establish a much better routine in my coaching business. And that really, like, that organization is crucial when it comes to getting the things done for your business on a daily basis. So now, what I do is every Sunday, I will sit down on a Sunday evening and spend about 15 minutes just writing out what I need to do that week. So the absolute non-negotiables go on that list. So I know exactly what I need to do every day. And that can include like life admin tasks as well. I'm like, these are the things I need to do every day. So this is the one I did last Sunday. So then what I do, this is how it works for me at the moment. Whatever you do can be completely different, because obviously we've also got the business activity tracker. But I will put down the things that I absolutely have to do on those days, no matter what. And I say no matter what. Some of them, I have been slightly flexible with some of them this week, but I tick them off as I go. And if I haven't ticked them off yet, then they move down to the next day. So these are the AM tasks that I do in the morning. These are the PM tasks that I do in the evening. And this says 20 messages. So I send these messages out throughout the day if I need to. But that's how I lay it out. So there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I do that every Sunday and make a list of all of these things. So a typical day for me will look like, I will get up at 5:30, and often I'll put PD straight into my ears. So I've got my phone and I plug in my earpods and I put those in and I listen to some PD, because that is the absolute best way to start your day. So 5:30 a.m, bit of personal development. Then I'll come downstairs to here, which is my workout room / office. And the first thing I'll do is go onto Facebook and wish everybody on there whose birthday it is a happy birthday. And that is because I do that for two reasons. One, it's a super, super simple way to kick me into doing business activities, my coaching business activities, when it's early days, early morning, I should say. And then two, by commenting on people's birthday posts, by saying happy birthday to people, you kickstart the algorithm on Facebook for them to think that you two are very good friends and that you want to be seeing their stuff and they want to be seeing your stuff. So anything you then post from there on in it's going to show up on their newsfeed. So you're making that connection with those people without even really having to try. So and also it's a really, really nice thing to do, to wish someone a happy birthday. I'm doing it at 5:30, so chances are that I'm the first person to do it as well. So that's always a nice thing. So I'll do that, wish everybody happy birthday, whose birthday it is, and then I do 20 invites or follow-ups. So at the moment, I'm focusing mainly on follow-ups. You could alternate, you could do 20 like invites one day, follow-ups the next. It doesn't have to be 20. 20 is what I'm doing at the moment, because that to me is what's manageable and also moving my business forward quickly enough for me to keep up at that pace. So I do 20 at the moment, and I am focusing on follow-ups because of that hiatus that I took in coaching. So I was doing a lot of conversations before Georgia, then I took that break, and now I'm going back to those people to say, hey, it's been like I basically had a baby and 9 months went by. How have you been? What have you been up to? You know, and reconnecting with those people. So that's why I'm focusing on follow-ups. But you know, you want to be starting new conversations with people all the time. So 20 invites. That means I'm doing 120 messages a week. That's my minimum that I want to be sending in a week. You may be sitting there now going, oh my God, that's loads. Once you get into a rhythm with it, and this is why you want to be organized, it's not too many. Like, you can totally keep up with that. 120 a week. So an example being on Monday, I sent none. And that's because my girls have been really, really ill and they just didn't sleep. That was a really tough night for us. So I didn't get up at 5:30. In fact, I think Georgia got up at 4:45. So I had zero chance to do any of my coaching stuff at that time. So I didn't send out my messages that day. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, because I'm going to make it up throughout the week. So I might add 5 extra in today, 5 extra in the next day, 5 in there. As long as I've hit 120 by the end of the week, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. Any more is a bonus, but 120 a week is what I'm aiming for at the moment. So that's what I'll do then. And that tends to take me up until the point that Georgia wakes up. She might wake up a little bit before that, and then I'll just catch up on those extra messages I haven't sent yet at some point later in the day. So I'll do that. Then once Georgia's awake, we'll do our Triller video, post that on Instagram, and then I do my workout. And then Lucy will get up at some point, possibly during the music video, possibly during my workout. Sometimes she sleeps till after the workout's done, but then I'll get her up. Georgia will go down for a nap. So that's super convenient at the moment that it kind of works that way. So then I can focus on Lucy, get Lucy dressed, give her breakfast. While she's eating breakfast, I start to edit my videos, because that doesn't take very long. So sometimes I can get it done before she's even finished, but you know, obviously sometimes we eat together, whatever. So I try and get some of my editing done at least while she's doing that. And then I will then put her in front of the TV for a little bit. And I have zero guilt about that, because that's when I'm just finishing off those final few bits of editing, and I will post that on Instagram. Then if I get the chance, I'll go into the Fit Girl Academy and I will see who's posted that morning, and I'll do all my comments on that, and then I'll post my video on there. And then what I also like to try and do in the morning is just add a couple of friends onto Facebook. So I'll just go in, just do a couple of ads, super quick, super fast. So I don't really need to think about it. I'll add like 5 or 10 new Facebook friends. And then during the day, I'll try and get in some more PD. I won't ever really be able to do it if I take Lucy out with me, because girl likes to talk. So, you know, we chat instead. But if it's just me and Georgia, like if I drop Lucy at preschool and I'm walking back with Georgia, or Lucy's at my mum's or Steve's mum's, then I'll do PD on a walk out with Georgia during the day. And then in the evening, after the girls have gone to bed, sometimes I do Lucy's bedtime and sometimes Steve does Lucy's bedtime. So on the nights that Steve does Lucy's bedtime, obviously I have a little bit more time, like an extra hour on my hands, because bedtime is long. So then I'll be able to do a few more things. But if I'm doing Lucy's bedtime, then I tend to squeeze things in between about 8:30 and 10 to 10:30. So I'm doing 2 or 3 hours a night, and I will do my social media post. I only do 1 a day now, but every single day. And then I will reply to any messages that I've received. I will comment on the Fit Girl Academy, and all of that really does take probably those 2 hours, because I've got a lot of messages to reply to. So and there's, you know, an element of back and forth with that as well. So I reply, they reply, blah, blah, blah. And I will cross-reference everything I've done here with my business activity tracker, because I want to be ticking everything off here, because, you know, these are the vitals. And then these are just the things that I have as non-negotiables. So I cross-reference the 2 of those. So because I know that doing those simple things every day, that's going to lead me to have like total financial and time freedom down the line. So I choose to sacrifice things like TV and Netflix and things like that. And like, honestly, I do not miss them at all. So I'm so passionate about this business and helping people get started in the Fit Girl Academy or building their own coaching business like you guys, and helping people get started doing something that's going to lead them to financial freedom, or them to their health goals, or them to their fitness goals, or whatever it may be. That, like, I don't feel like I'm sacrificing anything. Like, if someone says to me, oh my God, have you seen that TV show? I'm like, no, and I probably won't, because, you know, I'm in this for the long haul, and I'm happy to forfeit any of that kind of stuff so that I can just focus on my goals, my business, and my team and my fit girls. So even if I, you know, get to having put Lucy to bed and I'm tired and I don't feel like doing the things, once I get started, I get so sucked into it. I get sucked into the conversations I'm having with people who haven't joined yet, and I get sucked into the Fit Girl Academy, and everything, like, time just flies by because I absolutely love it. So even if I don't feel like doing it, which does happen, then I really do just get into it once I get started. So just get started is what I'm saying. And of course, there are things in there, there are tasks in there that I have to do on a daily basis that I don't really enjoy doing. Like, hand on high, only to you guys, I hate posting on social media. Like, I hate crafting a post and having a picture. Like, that's not my skill set at all, to take a good picture and then write a really good caption. I have to try really hard at that, and I don't enjoy it. And I don't enjoy looking at my Instagram and going, I've got 6,500 followers, why have I only got 3 likes? Like, that to me is just like, oh, because it just reaffirms that I'm not very good at it. But I'm better at it. I'm so much better at it than I used to be. And that is the best way to do anything, especially with the scarier things like the invites and the follow-ups and things like that. The more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And it just becomes like something that you do. Like, if you think about anything that you've done before that seems really scary, like, I don't know, like when you start a new job or you're learning to drive, like, you're like, I can't do this. This is horrible. It's scary. I'm outside of my comfort zone. And then look at you now. It's like second nature. It's just like, oh, okay, you know, you're really good at your job, and driving, you don't even think about it. And this is the same sort of thing. The more you invite, the more you do follow-ups, the easier it's going to be, and the less you're going to worry about it or think about it or overthink it. So my top tip for how you fit these things into your day: be very intentional with your time. So if you're sending messages, don't get distracted by the notifications that are popping up on Facebook, or, you know, the hearts that are coming up on Instagram, and don't get distracted by your phone or scrolling social media. So, like, you know, I've turned off all the notifications on my phones except text messages. But if I'm working my business, I tend to leave my phone in a different room or turn it on silent. So I turned off all the notifications, because you can be, you know, if you're sending messages on Facebook, and then your phone goes ding, and that person's replied, you know, and you're on your iPad doing it, and then it dings on your phone, and you look at it and they've gone, oh my God, I'm so interested. Then suddenly you're distracted and you want to go back to doing that, when really you should just be focusing on sending 10 messages, you know, something like that. So for an example, you want to send 10 messages. Don't get distracted by your phone buzzing or the notifications appearing or anything like that. You are sending 10 messages, and that's the job. So be very intentional with your time. Or, you know, you set a timer for 20 minutes and you're like, right, how many messages can I send in 20 minutes? Go, you know, and you just shoot them out. And that's what you do for those 20 minutes. So, you know, if your task is sending messages, you don't want to be going back and replying to those messages in between, because you're just going to get lost in this loop of reply. You just want to send 10 messages to send 10 separate people. And then at another point during your power hour, you can go back and reply to any of the people who have replied to you. And that will be your task at that point, is just doing the replies. So try and think of it like that. When you're, you know, growing your following, you're just focusing on doing that. You're not dipping in and out of messages at the same time. So be very intentional with your time. So, I mean, I can get so easily sucked into the Fit Girl Academy in the same way that you can get sucked into watching Instagram stories or scrolling Facebook. So what I try to do is have like set business hours in mind. So, well, I have set business hours. So there are times when I can be scrolling Facebook or looking through Instagram stories or being on the Fit Girl Academy just for fun, as opposed to being on the Fit Girl Academy for work, for business. So, you know, try and think of like business hours in your mind. And that also helps when I'm trying to juggle like my mum life with my coach life. So I consider myself to be a full-time mom and a part-time part-time Beachbody coach. So a full-time mom, but a part-time Beachbody coach. So I always try to prioritize my family time first and then set my business hours in around that. So like during Georgia's naps, I will let Lucy watch like 30 minutes to an hour of TV. And I have like zero guilt about that, because I know that, first of all, she doesn't want to spend every single waking minute with me. Like, why would she want to do that? And no offense, kid, but I don't want to do that with you either. Like, I need some downtime. I need to work my business. I need to be like chatting to adults, even if that's online or whatever. But she, you know, she wants to watch a bit of TV. She watches up to an hour of TV while I reply to messages. And that's what I do, so I can then spend the rest of the day with her, being very intentional with her. And then obviously we all have different things going on in our lives, and this is what works for me right now. But what works for me might not work for you. So it's like, maybe you can only spend an hour a day on your business, whereas I'm probably at the stage now where I'm spending about 5 hours a day on my business. But I started off only really doing an hour a day, and then that sort of grew to 2 hours, and then obviously the bigger my business got and the more time I was able to dedicate to it, and being on maternity leave obviously helped me a little bit too. That has meant that I now dedicate more time. But if you've only got an hour, that's totally fine, and you can absolutely build your coaching business in an hour in these earlier days. But it's about being intentional with that hour that you have. And yeah, you have to grind and you have to hustle. And these earlier days are harder than it's going to be further down the line, because you have to really like go all in and set that intentional time and send those messages and comment on, your groups every day and things like that. So I think, you can spend the hour, if you wanted to break down the hour, you could do 10 minutes of invites, 10 minutes of like reply to your messages. You could do 10 minutes listening to personal development, 10 minutes crafting your post, and doing your picture, and then your power hour is done basically. So those little 10-minute blocks of time, and it doesn't even need to be sit down for an hour. It could be 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes, and you just pick pockets throughout the day. So at the end of it all, the most important thing is to make this business work for you. So this is how I make it work for me now. And it's trial and error as well. So try a few different ways, see what, can you work late nights? Do you want to get up early mornings? Is it more about fitting it in your lunch hour? What are the non-negotiable tasks you want to do every single day to move your business forward? Make it work for you, because this business does not play favorites at all. If you work it and you do the things on the business activity tracker, and you do your non-negotiables every day, and you do the vital behaviors, those 4 product of the product, and then personal development and inviting and recognition, those are your 4 vital behaviors. If you do those, then you will absolutely smash this business if you do them every day. So I hope that gave you some helpful tips on how that you can make this work for you. But it's also a mindset shift to go, do you know what, I really want to make this business work. And if you really, really want to make it work, then you got to do the things. And you need to find a way to fit them into your day. Only you know what time you've got in your day, only you know what downtime you've got in your day, and only you know what you're prepared to sacrifice in order to make the business work. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and I will chat to you all